love the content that you create on the podcast. And it's not me telling you that because you're here. I just genuinely do. And I feel like the industry need to hear this.
That day was horrendous. I was on the phone to lawyers. Tanya just had Wilder on her hip. You know, like I don't even think we spoke about work once, but Tanya's like, I've got you.
If they don't align to your values, you can't represent them fully, right?
Yeah, you are white. You know, take her out for a margarita. We're good.
Listen to the podcast. It will change. It'll just lift that weight off your shoulders.
And then I went through, you know, a really hard time, but Tan was there at all points in different ways supporting me. Okay, so on a business note, and I'd be like, okay, so then what happened with the dick pic? Like we were on...
Hey, lovers, just a quick one. If you listen to us and you love us, could you please hit that subscribe button? I know it's a pain, but that little button means the world to us and our podcast, and means that we can get more great guests on like we know you guys love listening to. So do a girl a favor, hit subscribe, and we would be so grateful.
We just wanted to say a massive thank you to our podcast sponsor, Kevin Murphy, distributed by Ozdare, and thank them for being the most amazing brand partner for Salon Rising. This brand is truly incredible, and we are so excited to work alongside you.
Welcome back to the Inner Sanctum. Are we ready? Salon Rising,
The podcast. Excellent. We've done it well today.
Nailed it.
Yeah, woo.
Hey Sam.
Hey, dude.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really okay. I was going to say I'm really good, and I'm not, but I'm not bad. I'm just okay. I'm not ready to commit to really good.
We realised we just went for breakfast and we were like, damn, that should have been a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of juicy conversation going on there.
Sticky conversation in good ways.
Yeah, like
challenging. There was challenging
sticky
conversation.
is not the right word because it makes it sound like you and I are sticky. Jen and I challenge each other now.
Yeah.
Jen's like, I'm not coming up against you because I don't. I'm like, no, this is good. I like this.
I really like this turn in our relationship.
Mm-hmm. Same.
There was definitely a time when I was your yes woman and never would have challenged you.
Yes woman on everything.
I feel like I challenge everything that comes out of your mouth.
Which I like because then I
the greater
challenge you
good.
back.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
And that just makes friendship better.
Yeah, it does.
Speaking of friendship.
Speaking of friendship.
Oh, look what we did there.
Segue right there. Would you like to introduce our guest today?
Yes, I would. So our guest today is someone that I've been friends with for almost 20 years and has been with me throughout my whole journey in so many different areas, but she goes by the name of Miss Tanya Love. I love that your surname is Love now. Like,
I agree.
It just makes it even better.
So good.
And she is technically my sales rep for with Ozdare for Kevin Murphy. But she has been many, 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 many other roles in my life as well. But welcome, Tan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I think this is like we've wanted, like it was always like a Tanya has to be.
It was in the original plan of like, we'll just do 8 episodes and see how it goes.
Yes.
Type scenario.
Yeah.
Like way back in the day.
But I think as we did that, Tan changed. So anyone that listens to this, I reference Tan so many times in so many episodes. And sometimes it is me referencing her name. A lot of the time it's me not saying anything because in the early days of the podcast, we were sponsored by another company who Tan used to work for, and then Tan moved. So I was like conscious of being like the best rep in the entire world no longer works for the company that sponsors us and is now with my other company. But now my other company is who sponsors us. So
we can
love her up.
Praise her.
And during the season 1, I was listening along attentively, crying my eyes out, going, it's me.
She's talking about me.
That was me.
So I feel like we should scale it back.
Yeah.
Agree. I think we need to start at the very beginning.
At the beginning
Yeah. At the very beginning.
Yep.
So let's talk about where.
Our early careers.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's funny. So I've been hairdressing now 21 years, which I don't feel old enough to be in the industry for that long,
Agreed.
but I am. And yeah, we used to work for an institute, and
that's such a good word.
The institution.
And do you know, I have so many emotion and so many feelings when I think back to my all of our start of our hairdressing career and what led us to meeting each other, and also so many of our friends that we met through that hairdressing world have gone on to many great things. And and that's where we met. So I had originally started my apprenticeship in Brisbane, and I'd relocated to the Gold Coast and was working at Robina, and you were the apprentice. And I was only there for about 6 to 12 months, and then I was when my apprenticeship finished, I got moved to another salon to manage it. But our friendship continued, thankfully, because of our manager. She just kept us girls really close and tight, and God, it was some of my best years of my life.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that I can be really grateful for is like we're sitting with two of my closest friends now, and that came from that place, you know, like, and, you know, there was a lot there that we didn't agree with and has definitely shaped us as who we are as humans and things we've had to work through, but also have made us better humans as well. But the relationships that were gained at that time back then were like, as I said, there's so many of my very close best mates that have come from that early time. It was like we were in the asylum together.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
like
The Walking Dead.
It was, interesting reflecting, and you wouldn't change it for the world, because I wouldn't have some of my very best friends now if that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and I don't think I'd be the person I am today if I didn't have that experience as well. And
Absolutely.
There's some things that you look back and you go, well, that was traumatic, and
oh my God,
I would never.
Tanya and I stood up to the man. Remember when you and I were like, we're standing up to the man. We should not have to work New Year's Day, I think it was. So we wrote this full email
Who
together.
wants their haircut on New Year's Day?
No one. So Tanya and I wrote this like full email together and sent it, and
we were reprimanded for it.
So bad, because we went straight to the top. Well, that's what you got to get shit done.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we got reprimanded so bad.
Yeah. And I think, all of those highs and lows, and you're young, you're 20 and you're learning and you're challenging things. But again, having, we learned so much about business back then. We learned so much about goal setting and having values and being successful and being rewarded for being successful. And those things, or those learnings for me, are things that I would never want taken away from me.
We certainly learned how to
regret.
fucking work hard.
Yeah.
We certainly learnt how to push and kind of get where we needed to go, I guess, at those times.
Yeah.
I also, I love that we look back and there's photos of like Tan and I and Rich even, and I think there's some photos with you in it as well, but I remember as distinct, like I think it was like a New Year's or something.
New Year's Eve at Alto. We made the bulletin.
That's right. We made the bulletin. So I love that we've got this like such close working container now within the salon and within Salon Rising.
Oh.
And back, 20 years ago, we're all out clubbing together so
The
far.
photos can't be shared because there were some really ugly haircuts back then.
And so bad.
Yeah, like the short tufty crown, the jagged fringes, the top deck colouring. Like I look back and I go, we were really pretty girls, but God, we had some awful hair. It was real hairdresser hair.
I forgot when you went real short.
We thought that was so cool at the time, though.
So cool.
Or the panels, like the massive coloured panels.
Yeah.
We were cool.
We were. But it was funny, yeah. So from after leaving that organisation, there was a bit of a hiatus in my period with you, because I went on to be an educator for a multinational company, and that led me to being a bit out of touch with everyone for the 3 years I was with them.
Who was that with?
Schwarzkopf.
It was, that's right.
And in that time, I was away a lot. I was learning all my ropes as an educator. I was really being shown a different side of the hair industry, and I really just threw myself in, and I was away probably 3 weeks of every month. And in that time, you were married, there was different movements. You'd started La Sorella as a single operator, and then it was only about the year later that when I joined the other company that we were able to be reconnected.
Yeah, I remember.
What made you want to do that? Did you always want to do that? Did you always want to sidestep?
Become an educator?
Yeah, did you want to sidestep out of the salon?
You were an educator then,
Yeah, I did. Because when we were at, when we started our apprenticeships and I went on to management, I loved colour, and colour was one of my favourite things. And we used to go along
You loved
to all
to teach too.
Well, I loved being taught, and we had an amazing educator with that group, Tamara, who she was so engaging, and I think I did there like their master colour trainings like twice because I just loved geeking out on learning about colour. And the rep at the time, who was our main rep, he actually approached me because he was becoming a state manager of this company, and he just said, you should apply. And I was like, yeah, I want this change and this will be great.
Yeah.
And I'd always admired other educators. And so, I applied and didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but was passionate to be challenged. And, I was a colour educator for 4 years, and I really loved everything about it. It was only the travel that caused me to feel a bit burnt out. And back then there was a lot of travel. These days it's, corporations have a lot more people on the ground.
And there's a lot more online now as well,
Yeah. And then moving into becoming a sales rep happened was I'd actually wasn't enjoying the manager that I had at the time as an educator, and coming from a multinational to a family-run business, there was just there wasn't a lot of structure involved at that time, and I was just really feeling restricted and frustrated. And anyways, my state manager at the time suggested maybe I should try moving into sales, and it was so nice that he saw potential in me, and I had no experience, and he just said go for it. And so I did, and it was the best move ever. And that's been now, what is it, I don't know, 12 years. And I look back on a lot of my career, and I've had some really key people mentor me or see something in me that I hadn't seen at the time and encourage me, and I've been led by their direction. And
it's funny
like it's a really organic journey.
It's
isn't
funny
it?
that you say that though, because that's what I feel like you are for me.
Yeah.
Like I very much, if you break it down, you've been one of my mentors because
Agreed.
You always see something in me that I never see in myself. And in the most, I don't even know how to explain it because there's no one like you, in the most humble, just like powerful way, where I don't feel like Tanya is never a blow smoke up your ass type of person ever. So when she sees something and she can talk to me about it and talk me through it, I'm just like, yes. And I always feel really empowered. So I find that for you, for me.
Yeah, and I think maybe that, and I was thinking, sort of unpacking my head with, coming on the podcast and thinking, what are they going to ask me? Because I obviously don't know what you're going to ask me.
Well, like sit down, just talk.
Yeah, and it's funny, me just backtracking and thinking about people who have had an impact on my career, people who I look up to, people who I admire, I respect, and the way they treated me is definitely a way that I like to, how I've been taught how to treat others. And that's what I hope to be. And I genuinely, as a rep, like every salon that I look after or get to know, I want to be their biggest cheerleader. I want to help them. I want to help their team. I want to inspire their team. If there's an apprentice that's, hasn't found their way, tell them good job, or find whatever it is that's missing in them to help, elevate them.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a bit of a duty that we have with just any people, like any young person we come across in life, just be encouraging. And and that's something that I like to do, and that's probably what I'm mirroring how I've always been treated.
And that in itself is so
very powerful.
Yeah. So when I was at the old salon, the first salon, I got to this point where I was like, it was the aha moment of being like, I need to flip everything on its head in this business, as I was going through. And this is why I encourage people, if they feel like they're unsure, jump in and do a program, because that program then is the start point of everything changing. For me, it was doing that stuff with my best friend, and it just started unraveling. And Tan was one of those things for me. I remember ringing her, and I remember, it's so funny where you distinctly remember certain things. Like I remember driving from the back way to the salon, which I never drove, talking to Tan that day. I remember that conversation of, I'm ready for change. Do you think I would like it? And Tan
I remember
was
I pulled over at a toilet block in Palm Beach because I had to have this call. And it was serious.
See? And like anyone that knows me knows safety is my ultimate goal. Like safety is one of my biggest things. And Tanya's morals are so strong. Like that's one of your things that is like the strongest I love it so much that if she didn't like it, she would not be putting me on, even if she
Agreed.
worked for that company. Her morals are too strong. So she was just like,
It gets me in trouble sometimes.
yeah, I love it about you though.
But I don't think that applies simply to the relationship that Tanya has with you.
No,
I think
everyone.
that is fundamentally who you
she
are
is.
as a person.
Yeah. Her morals are so strong and such a guiding point in her life that you can't not feel safe, because I know, like, I could give Tanya $1 million and no, not a dollar would be taken, because Tanya's morals are so strong and who she is. And you've only, proven that to me over and over and over and over again for the last 20 years. And so, when I rung you that day and you were like, you will love it, it's amazing. And then I did that switch, and it was so powerful for me. Doing that first switch was incredibly powerful to the new brand, and I felt really seen for a really long time. And Tanya, again, was in the background, always my biggest supporter. I can see you doing this. As I started educating in hair, which is where I thought I wanted to be, she was the one that was selling out on the road, selling my classes and telling other people about us. And, so people would come to my classes like, Tanya talks about you. And then obviously as we stood into Salon Rising, my biggest supporter and advocate was the same thing. Like, she's on the road now every day being like, have you listened to this podcast? Like, man, I just, the support that we have from you, because when you believe in something and that's in your morals too, you're like, I believe in this so wholeheartedly, it's really easy for me to sell. And that's why I think it's also important that you are always aligned with companies that make you feel that way, because when something starts to slide for you and it doesn't feel as strong for you anymore, your compass is like, okay, time for a change. And I remember even the first company, you and I went for dinner and you were like, this is what it's about and blah, blah, blah. And then for me, the next step in this, obviously we moved to this space. We'd already gotten Kevin when we moved here. Yeah. And then Tanya rang me one day and she was like, I've got to tell you something. And I knew before she even told me that Kevin is where she was coming. Like, I knew, like, Ozdare was where she was coming. I don't know why. I just was like, there's no other brand that feels like it would align to Tan but this one. Yeah. So as soon as you were like, okay, but I'm moving over to Kevin Murphy, I was like, oh, sweet, no worries. You're just changing from, one side of what I have to the next. It was super easy for me to be like, sweet, I'm not losing you. Like, if it was a different company, I would have spun. But then the most incredible thing for me is in now with Ozdare and with Kevin, like, where my journey has gone within Salon Rising with this company is because of you, because you see things through a lens. And Tanya is like a dog with a ball. If she wants something, she will just go hell for leather until she's like, no, this is right, this is right, this is right, this is going to help, this is going to help, this is going to help. And always in that motion, not only for me, but for Ozdare as well, that she's like, nope, 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 nope. I will not take no for an answer, because I know that this is so perfect. And then finally it comes together and Tanya sits back like, told you so.
But I think it's also just seeing, like, being a sales rep, I don't always love that title, because people think you're selling, it's
the this is what I was saying about sales reps. The focus is on the wrong word.
Yeah.
The word that you should focus on is representative.
Yeah.
You are a representative of whoever you work for. Yeah. So if they don't align to your values, you can't represent them fully, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, and Jen. I've never had anyone say that before, because I always struggle when people say, what do you do for a living? And you're like, oh, I'm a sales rep. And I feel like it's
like telling people you're a car salesman or a real estate agent.
And they go, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And when people say, what's your secret? And my secret is, don't be a salesperson. Just be a good person. And
do you know what I reckon your secret is? Your secret is building relationships with people.
Yeah.
Because you actually get to know who you're working with, and how you work with Samara and her business would be different to how you work with someone else in their business, because you've actually gotten to know the people that you're working with.
Do you know what with Tan though is one of the things I love about Tan is she knows that she's not everyone's person.
Oh, that is one of my absolute favorite things about you. Yeah. And it is okay.
Yeah. And she's like, I still want to do a good job for everyone, but I also know that I'm not everybody's person. And she doesn't try and make herself and mold herself
and change herself to be.
And I remember, so Tan went on maternity leave. How old's Ellie now? 7?
6.
6. and she went on maternity leave, and we got another rep to take over, and mate, I made him my bitch. Like, I made him do shit that Tanya would not in a million years tolerate. Like, I was like, I need stock, come and bring it to me. He'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, I'd never try that on Tanya. Tanya would just be like, nope, that's not the rules. This is what happens. And I would never try it on her. And she got back and she was like, oh my God, did he make a mess? Because Tanya, like, again, like Tanya's very good at setting her boundaries. Very, very good at, these are my boundaries. But those boundaries have never made me feel unsafe. They make me feel safe. I know where things are at with Tanya, and how
And it's not that other person didn't make you feel safe. It's just you pushed and there wasn't a boundary there. So you just kept pushing a little further and
I just kept pushing.
And I think that's relationships too.
And that doesn't make me feel safe.
No.
That didn't actually make me feel safe in that relationship.
No. And I think there's a lot of respect in people saying no to people, and even how you girls spoke earlier about Jen standing up to you and pushing back, and there's so much respect and magic that happens in there. And for me as a sales rep, or representative, that I get to meet all these different businesses and business owners, it is trying to find that common ground to establish a relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the relationships can take a really long time for them to soften, for them to trust me, to want to listen to what I have to say.
And I get that from a business owner, because I'm like that with a lot of other people.
Oh my gosh, you do not know how lucky you are to have had a relationship with her before you tried to go, and because she is a walls up. Like, you have to run a gauntlet and go through like 5 different
AJ
people.
learned that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are like that, and I think that's totally fine. And I come across that as well in my day-to-day.
Because in our industry, people change so much, and it is a lot of people. You are so passionate about what you do that the sales rep that title doesn't fit you at all. But other people are just like, they're just getting the job done, and you're just like, this is so different. Like, my experience with other reps to you is polar opposite. And there is only, like, I can think of one person who, and she was a rep. I think her name was Lauren. Yeah. She was a rep for Redken at the time. And she was the only person who was with a different brand that, had I decided to move, she would have been where I moved to, because she never wanted to just be up in my business and bring stuff in and just keep asking for a meeting. She just was like, I generally want to get to know you because I think that what you've built is really amazing. And I was like, she actually sees me, so I'll actually make time for her. Whereas everyone else is just trying to sell. Like, everyone is all quiet in the early days when you're small. And then as soon as people see you growing, they're like, we want in. And I just didn't want that at that point. Like, you've got to be with me on the journey. Otherwise, what is the point?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that happens a lot with a lot of business owners and also sales reps. They can come across, they're not getting, they're not able to break down barriers with salon owners. Yeah. And I come across that in my day-to-day as well. And I think it's just, again, looking for that common ground where you can get to know each other and have something in common, to then realise that there's more to you than just the brand or what you're trying to do.
I don't think sales rep, especially for you, is right. I feel like you are like a business builder. Like you are building my business with me. At all points I can ring you and be like, I'm struggling, I need ideas. And you're like, okay.
But I think you would find that other representatives could do the same. It's just more whether you're open to having that conversation as well. And it's something
and there's a level of trust that has to happen before you're willing to actually let that other person into your business and be like, hey, help me.
Yeah.
Not everyone's comfortable with making that call, like, I'm drowning.
No. There's also a lot of business owners out there, and I can speak this from experience because I'm of Salon Rising, that don't want to let other people in on the messy.
Yeah.
I don't want to let people in. I don't want people to see my messy. I don't want to share these numbers. I don't want to look like, to them, I want to look like I've got it all together. It's like, let your guard down a little.
Yeah.
And see how letting people in will help you. Like, mate, I know I've known Tanya for years, but like, there was one day, Tanya and I have also always been so flexible. Tan's like, I'll just come to the house. Like, and there's, when all my children were born, she was there. I was born when Ellie was born, I remember being like, we're okay with the mess. And the mess is, I think, where our magic in our friendship is and our professional relationship is. But like, at the beginning of going through horrific stuff that I have in the last 12 months. Like Tanya, I was like, come to my house. That day was horrendous. I was on the phone to lawyers. Tanya just had Wilder on her hip. You know, like I don't even think we spoke about work once, but Tanya's like, I've got you, you know. And then I went through, you know, a really hard time, but Tan was there at all points in different ways supporting me as my, you know, it should be business developer, as my business developer, but also as my friend. But like she knew I was sick, so then she would bring in icy poles and put them in the back fridge for me that day, or she would show up with flowers or just something to be like, I see you and I'm so proud of you and I know how hard you're doing this right now. And having someone in that backside of your business being able to see that is so valuable, because then she also from the outside can be like, I can hold you in this for a minute. Like, let me take over and I'll do some training, or I'll like support you, or I'll work with that person. And like when I'm overwhelmed, she knows how to move in my business for me so I can take a step back. But on top of that, I also have someone who's just the fiercest cheerleader for everything I'm doing. And sometimes I sit back and I think, what the fuck? There's not many people like you, really not many people like you. But the cool thing for me is I don't just get to watch it as you're my cheerleader. I listen to you speak about all these other businesses that you work with that you're doing the same for.
Yeah, exactly
this person's doing this and moving that, and oh my God, you would love them. And it has. You've brought me so many people within Salon Rising that I love so much and connected. And you're like this person and this person, and you're always cheerleading for every other person around you, that it's hard not to feel supported in your presence, which is what you want out of someone that's inside your walls.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of my role, is I get to see into so many different businesses that are run in so many different ways and meet so many different personalities. And the thing that I love, and I wish more people would take this on board, is some salons have really let go of competition, which I love. And those who haven't, my message to them is just be yourself. And at all aspects in your life, be yourself, because every salon is different and they're all run on different values and they attract a different clientele for that. And I love seeing what works for someone else that definitely wouldn't work for you, but there's a golden nugget out of that that I can again put in my little kitty
the
of
amount
knowledge.
of things that you've done. I was like, I need to do something different in the beginning, and you were like, babe, you know what your different is. It's angel cards and crystals. Why aren't you focusing on that? And I was like, oh yeah, it totally is. Like, and it was the beginning of that kind of movement, and I was like, that does feel like me. And so we kind of stepped into that. And again, as other people started doing a lot more and stuff, I was like, cool, this is a good movement to be in.
Yeah.
And it's nice that people are going that way and people are feeling like that. But sometimes you can't see it when you're in it.
No. And
whereas Tan can see things from the outside, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. That's real helpful.
Yeah, and that's where I hope that other businesses that are maybe listening along, if they can lean into the relationship they have with their sales rep and deepen it, it's something, there's some real magic there. And I have some amazing colleagues that I work with currently, that I've worked with in the past, that all we do things very differently, but because of our own personalities. But when you're let in, and like how you have trusted me to allow me to have this relationship that we have separate to our friendship, that's where you can give feedback, and it's trusted feedback. Like, I'm not afraid to say no to you. You're not afraid to say no to me. And I love that. And, and I think other businesses, if they can harbour that relationship they have with their sales rep, just to ask for feedback, ask for their ideas, because there's some real hidden gems there. And that's just not me as a person, it's just whoever you're dealing with. I'm sure from the outside looking in, they can actually give you some really, good little just circuit breakers in your business that will just help not change the world, but just add a bit of spice to the relationship.
I remember, so Tan and I have done, funny enough, I've done more travel with you in my life than I've done with anybody. And I remember, we've gone to Hong Kong together, we've gone to Barcelona together, we've been to New Caledonia, we're about to go to Budapest, and all within our careers. I remember walking around the castle in Barcelona, and Tan's like, okay, so when we get back, because Tanya and I find it really easy to slip friendship work, and when I need to get my passion and inspiration back, it's dinner with Tan. It's tacos at our favorite place with a mug, and that's where I'm like, my fire's back. I needed that. And she knows how to kind of like move me when I'm feeling a bit stagnant. And I think that's really important too, is knowing who can do that for you. Yeah. And I'm like, yes. And she knows, like, we know each other's, like, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to, let's go and eat and connect that way. Because Tan's like, in the salon, I'm not getting anything out of you.
Yeah.
Like, you are wiped. You know, take her out for a margarita. We're good. And, you know, walking around that castle, I remember you being like, okay, when we get back, this is what I want to look at. I want to look at your contracts. I want to look at where things are moving. And even for me, I'm like, wow. And by that time, we'd been working together for
a couple of years.
Bloody,
I don't know how many
6 years. And, but it's just so cool again to have somebody that's like, you know, I see this in your business and this is where we can make change. Because again, and I think for any sales rep that's listening, like, how can you actually go back and put trust for your clients to be like, I'm going to keep bettering what you've got because I've got you. Yeah. And myself and many others have made the move from different companies because of you. And again, the way that Tan went about that with her morals was so beautiful and so beautiful to watch, because you've been so graceful in how you move from companies. And, you know, for me, it was just like, and everyone knows there's no one like you for me. And, you know, I would follow you to Budapest and back, you know, because it takes a special type of human to be able to really see into all areas and facets of your life and be like, I've got you and I see you. And it's really cool for me as a coach and mentor to also have my clients say the same thing about you. It's not just my experience because you're my close friend, but it's everybody's different experience as well. So yeah, I think definitely the sales rep title doesn't suit who you are as a person.
No, it's that business support and development.
Yeah.
But I think too, sometimes, you know, if there's business owners that are thinking, well, I don't have that relationship with the person that I'm working with, but have you asked them if that's something that they're open to? And, you know, like sometimes it's just...
Send this podcast to them.
Sometimes it's just a case of opening the door and you being the person to take that step and go like, okay, well, look, I'd really like you to, you know, be a part of this business journey, and do you have any insight?
There might be people listening to this podcast that have met Tan and don't feel like this with her, but there's been some type of blockage that are like, oh. So, yeah, I think it's also really important to speak up in what you need. And I have also, as you said, we've always felt really safe in I can come to you with conversations, be like, Tan, this has been a fail, or this has happened, and Tanya's like, cool, let's address it, let's move forward, what do you need? And that takes a lot too on both sides. Like both of us will take ownership over stuff that's happened, or quite happy to have conversations, the sticky conversations, because of the safety there.
And that's what I think, like people who maybe aren't having this relationship with their current representative, you know, firstly decide whether they align to your values, and maybe you've outgrown the brand you're currently using. Yeah. Maybe they're not evolving with you and your mindset. And that's, if that's the case, it's something that's quite exciting for you to deep dive into other brands that are in the market that maybe you do align with and that are true to you. But if it is a brand truth and you love the brand that you're currently with, but you're not getting that connection with your sales rep, they're just an order taker or something like that, I think just like we speak as and the hairdresser in me is when we're having a consultation with a new client for a transformation, be really thorough about, you know, what are your expectations of me? Like what do I need from you? What do you need from me? How long will this take? And setting those boundaries, or even asking what you'd like, is a starting point. And then you're building from there. And, you know, I think going in and out of salons day to day, like I love how, you know, even for you, Samara, you've got clients who love you to spill the tea. They want you to talk to them about all the gossip happening at the time. But then you have other clients who you're really quiet for as well, and they have a totally different experience with you. And it's just, we chameleon into who our audience is. And
yes, very much so.
And that's the same with, well, I think for me as well as a rep, like I chameleon into what the salon owner's looking for or wanting from me, or what they've asked of me. And that can be, you know, I'm different with everyone. And it's not that I'm not authentic to myself. It's just a different version of me based on what energy they require from me as well.
Yeah.
But
you do that for me.
Yeah.
Depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like chatty-go-lucky. Other times you're like, she ain't talking.
Yeah, just go, don't even worry.
Don't talk to me right now.
When Jen is in
She's
the cell and I'm like, Jen. Now it's Carly, Taya.
Yeah.
I'm not even bothering.
She doesn't want to talk. She's in a mood. Don't talk to her. She's leave her down that end of the salon.
Do you think, because I have to be careful because I know that there are definitely people who are incredible who don't have a background in the industry, but do you think that the fact that you do have that background in the industry gives you that insight of understanding a bit more about where people are coming from? Or not to say that that's not something you can learn, but I feel like you see that straight away.
Yeah, I think it is a strength. I've got a lot of colleagues that are non-hairdressers, and I've actually learned a lot from them in the way their brain thinks and the way they go about their day-to-day. And I look at that and I, you know, some of it fits for me, some of it doesn't, or some of it, yeah, I sort of sit there a bit perplexed, but it works for them. But for me, yeah, like only knowing hairdressing, like leaving high school to become a hairdresser, and the institute that we worked in, I loved that he led us with a lot of emotional intelligence, and EQ was more important than IQ back then, which was a bit of a trailblazing thought. And having that emotional led intelligence helps me in the industry, and I think only from being a hairdresser do you really deeply understand and connect with that, with how much we have to, you know, deal with all walks of life. That exposure to, you know, all the different clients you've ever had in your chair, I think definitely strengthens my relationships, or strengthens the ability to build relationships with people that we may not have any common ground. And being passionate about it. Like 21 years in the industry, I think it does help as well.
And this is a huge one for me, but my team can all feel Tan. Like Tan understands what my team are going through, what my team need. Like, so she can really come down to like, mannequin here, Tan can understand the room, can understand what needs to be done, can understand who needs what. Like, because she's been in the industry for that long and is a hairdresser, she understands hairdressers.
Yeah.
You know, and like we say, no one understands. It's like if you are outside of that, and as you said, there's still beautiful people that aren't, but if you're outside, that's like not being a mum and then trying to understand how a mum is feeling in that stage. Yeah. It's that common ground that you understand it because you've worked it and lived it and been in it.
Yeah.
So it is pretty
I definitely
special.
think you can learn that level of empathy to maybe not have walked in those shoes, but to take that time to get to know the situation and how to deal with that. I just feel like you having that background gives you that little nudge. You know
definitely
what I mean?
gave assistance. And I think in the early days of becoming from an educator to a sales rep, having that transition was really easy for me, and it made the selling side of things, I wasn't even about selling. It was just about relationships and understanding what hairdressers are looking for and being solution driven. And that's probably another way that I like to carry myself in life, is that if someone has a problem, I really hope to help them overcome and find the solution.
Yeah.
And I think that as all hairdressers, we have that opportunity every day with our customers when they're coming in and you're asking them about their hair, what they wish they could change about it. We have that gift to give them a solution, give them a fix, help them with their day-to-day, make life easier. And that's how I really love to be as a salesperson as well. Like,
and Tanya's a real good follow through. Like if she says she's going to do something,
she will do
done.
it.
Like you don't have to think like it's out of my mind because Tanya's going to sort it. And Tanya will ring me like, this is what's happening. I'm like, I don't care.
yeah.
It's fine. I know you're on it. Like you're on it. Don't worry about it. And I think that as you become busy people, it's really, I can do that to my staff. I'm like, I'm on this. Like I told them they had new menus last year and we're in fucking May. They're still not done.
We talk about these menus a lot.
A lot. They're still not done, guys. I've actually handed it over to Taya because I'm just like tired. You need to do this. But Tanya's an amazing follow through. If she says she's going to get something done or she's going to look into something and she, as I said, she will fight to the death for something that's right for you. And there has been many times that Tanya has gone to battle for me, many, many times in many different situations that she's like, I will battle to the death for this.
I think that's a really good point too. not the battling to the death, because we know you do that and we love you. But there is, the busier you get, the better you need to be at finding someone else to do a job for you.
Yeah.
And I think that having someone like you, and as we said, the name doesn't fit, it's really that business development role, is that.
Yeah.
It's that I don't have the space for this, but you are really good at it. You are looking at it from a different perspective, having that outside person looking in.
I'm literally like, take it.
Yeah.
Like even as Tan came on, like as we moved everything completely to Ozdare, which at that point we were already product and lightener. And then I remember ringing Tan and being like, it is absolutely no secret that I have always loved the Kevin Murphy products, as they are just so beautiful. When we opened my new space 3 years ago, I knew I had to get Kevin Murphy retail range in, and everybody loved it. Recently, I have made the decision to change to Kevin Murphy Colour and take on the Colour Me range. We had already been using the lighteners in salon for some time and loving them, so this just felt like a really natural step to go all in with Kevin Murphy. The driving force to change was actually led by my team, and we were all ready for something new. This change has honestly been one of the greatest moves I have made for my business. The onboarding process was so seamless, and we have felt so supported by our rep and our tech support, and the results that we are getting are amazing. The condition these colours provide is truly exceptional, and my team is loving it, and so are our clients. If you have been thinking about making the move, or if you're just interested in what Ozdare and Kevin Murphy have to offer, then please click on the link in our show notes and reach out. You will not be disappointed. So yeah, then as I moved everything over, I was feeling overwhelmed and just a bit tapped out, and everyone was trying to have different, and I was just like, here, take it. And Tanya's like, I can take that. And again, because I know she has boundaries, if she couldn't take it, she wouldn't.
Yep.
She's like, I've got it. I've got you. Let me take this over. Let me have you in this, whatever you need. And like a lot of people are like, oh my God, like you're so lucky. And I'm like, nope, it's just because she knows, like she will always try and find solutions for what I need at that point so that the business runs better. And again, I have the deepest conversations with her because one of her massive morals is she doesn't speak shit about anybody. She is not a gossip. So I feel real safe because I know she's never gossiping about me. She's only saying amazing things, and vice versa. Like, again, that safety in a friendship that I feel so safe in this friendship because we've been so raw in business, but in life, you and I have gone through many ups and downs that it's the safety. So again, for anyone that out there with their reps, you know, reaching out, having that conversation, but do you truly feel safe with who's looking after you? Like, and I think for me, that's why it takes me so long to let somebody into my business because I'm like, safety is my ultimate goal. And if you're not going to feel like safety, it's going to take time to build that. So, you know, as I said, I would follow Tanya, you know, if we were mixing up colour with rocks, I'm mixing up colour with rocks because
we're doing this new thing.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. I know that it's a good choice.
It's a really organic movement.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think, and I'm thankful for that relationship and that you allow me to be that in your business. And going back to Jen's point before, you know, for salons as you are, you know, everyone's busy, everyone's run off their feet. There's always things that need to be done in your business that you can delegate to your sales rep.
Yeah.
And your supplier can do so much more for you than probably what you even know. And even just sometimes asking your supplier, what can you do for me? And hearing what they might say back to you can just be a breath of fresh air.
What I would say is write down your struggles first.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think the thing for a salon owner is companies are like, we can give you anything. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
We can ask for anything. Cool. Can I have a pony? Like, I don't know what that means. So I don't. And also for a very long time, pre both these last two companies, when I worked for my very first company, I felt like I worked for that brand.
Yeah.
So whereas now I'm like, hold on. And then this, you know, I was like, hold on, this has to be a two-way street. Like the brand has to work with me just as much. Tanya also knows that one of my massive things is connection and communication and knowing. So by the time I left the last company that I worked with, I knew everyone. You know, I remember going to an event and Wilder was a baby. He was like 3 weeks old, I think. And I was at this event and I had like Wilder like strapped to me, and I was just like chatting to everyone. And one of the guys there was like, I'm sorry, did you used to work for us? Because I haven't met you. And I was like, oh, no, I'm Samara. I own La Sorella. He was like, that makes sense, because I knew all the reps, all the, you know, had Barcelona together. So I'd known so many different salons and all the different things. But Tanya knows that's important.
Yeah.
That's not important to many people.
No.
Like, whereas for me, I need to know that there's people in that thing that I can reach out to. And I was able to stay with the last company for a really long time when Tanya left, because I had a whole group. And also loyalty is one of our big values is loyalty. And so, you know, it takes a long time and to move. It took a long time for you to move and for me. But I think at the end of the day, your rep knowing too, like, you know, there's other companies like salons that you work with that they don't want to fucking be known by anyone. No. Just let me stay in my thing. Whereas for me, I'm like, I want to know who I'm with. I want to know who I'm in bed with. I want to know, and especially as Salon Rising has grown, having other people that are then in your corner, especially as we're growing this, has been so valuable. And you know how to bring that together. You know, we had dinner. About, I reckon it was like 2 months ago, and it was with Tan and then 4 of the boys. So sales rep.
Yep. So James, our educator, Mark, our head of sales for Kevin Murphy, James, our head of sales from 11, and then Ben, the 11 representative.
Yep. And it was meant to be just this like work dinner, and it was so inappropriate. Like, I just kept bringing the conversation back appropriate, and you could see that every moment Tanya would be like, okay, so on a business note, and I'd be like, okay, so then what happened with the dick pic? Like, we were on a whole schmozzle of conversation, right? Like, me and one of
Tanya's like, reel it in, come on.
Samara just kept
I was managing Samara.
Yeah. I was like casting out, like, this is where this conversation's going tonight. Again, margaritas and dinner. And even one of the other guys, I was like coaching him through relationship advice. Like, it was this whole thing. But for me, the relationships that I now have with those 4 guys is so valuable. And like, we talk to each other, not now just on a work basis, that relationship that we're building. Like, I'm like, this is fun. Like, I know, like, there's so much banter. And even, you know, getting into bed per se with the right company, even Mark, our head of sales, like, he'll just text and be like, hey, I'm just like checking in, how are you? Those things mean the world, because you don't then just feel like a number of a salon. Like, he's just like, and he's like, I can see what you're doing. I'm real proud of you. Like, keep doing you. And when you have a company that behind you that can support what you need, and that's not what it looks like for everybody.
And it's crazy to think too, and we see this all the time in Salon Rising, that people just don't realise that you can ask.
Yeah.
They just don't realise that they even have that option to ask for more.
Yeah, but I think again, that's when you need to sit down with your sales rep, or if you feel like it can't happen, move.
Yeah.
I think we're all terrified to move. We're all terrified. I was terrified for a really long time because we get so used to what we know.
Yep.
It's the scariest thing to make a move, because we get used to what we know in every area of our life.
Yeah,
you know, I just went through a marriage breakup. It was scary to make a move because I didn't know what it looked like on the other side. And when I move everything. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, cool. So at the same time, everything's falling apart. Let's also move companies. Let's move this. Let's move house. Let's move relationships. Let's move everything. I do it at once. But it allows me then to settle, and I feel like I've kind of moved and upped and moved and upped. And I've got a lot of people in that I work with, and they haven't all, it's not me saying everyone's moved to Ozdare, because they certainly haven't, but I've got a very close client that I work with who's just moved companies, and she's just like, holy shit, it was the greatest thing that I did, because she's like, I feel really seen. I've needed this change. I needed to be, you know, looked at from different eyes in a different way that your business is now. Yeah. Because the business that you had, the business that I started with was me. Yeah. And then it grew substantially to where it is now, that the eyes sometimes need to change. Mm-hmm. You know, you need to have, it's the same with a relationship, you know, like if you don't grow together, you grow apart. Yeah. And I think that's the case.
Where alignment comes into it too. Of, you know, as we our values, you have your core values, but then as you learn and evolve things, there's different weight put onto different values, like things are weighted differently. And that's where alignment comes into everything of, for me, changing brands to representing Ozdare was a massive career move and something that wasn't a light decision. But at the time, my alignment with their brand and their philosophies was just, it was everything that I was looking for in a company. And that's, for me, I had to change. And I'd been with the previous company for 12 years.
Yeah.
That, again, it wasn't that they changed, I changed and I grew and I was looking for different things. And that's where, yes, it's prickly. Yes, it feels uncomfortable, but again, you adapt and you evolve and you do get better. Or
you sit and you don't grow and you don't change and you don't develop and you don't do anything. You've got to change.
And that's why I think sometimes businesses, if they're feeling stagnant, that 7 year itch people talk about, you have 7 years in business, you're feeling flat, nothing's changing, maybe you're not seeing you're not as profitable as you were before.
Also, just preface this, Tanya's seen me almost sell this salon 95 times. 95 times at least.
Yeah.
I have sold this salon 95 times. And for anyone that's out there that's listening, that's never going to end. Like we're always going to go through that moment. I was talking to one of my close friends the other day, Bridget, who I'll say her name because, long-time listener, long-time friend. And we have these conversations because we're like, is it a burn it down moment this week? Or because you go through those moments and those times. Jen's seen me sell this salon the same amount. I think it's really important to have the right people challenge you on those discussions. Mm-hmm. If you want to sell the salon, it's like, is it just a moment like these two now can be like, are you doing it because you want to blow it up? Yep. Okay. Well, then let's just breathe through this and change things up. And, it's testing you for a reason, making you grow, pushing you to an edge. It's been very comfortable for a long, long time. Are you getting pushed to an edge right now and you need to level up? So having the right people that aren't just yes people, I think is really important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the same with a business developer. Yeah. Having someone that's not just a yes person, is just because that yes person's never going to be right for me because I'm just going to push them to their edge of being like, this person is a pest. Yeah. Whereas Tanya can, again, push back with me and get me to see different directions or, have you thought about this or have you thought about that or what do you need? But also someone that has the foresight to also see what I can't see in my business as well and also goes, I've seen this or, I see your strength here, but also someone that just knows how to fucking pump me up when I'm feeling low. Yeah. Because she knows my love language is.
And that's from time spent together and again, from that trust in our relationship and, and that's where I think people who maybe aren't having that same relationship with their current representatives is, again, going to them, asking them what they can offer them or what added value they can bring to their business. And then it's for them to also push back and say, well, what is important to you? Yeah. Whenever I meet someone new for the first time, like a brand new salon owner, I always like to know before, if they've inquired about Kevin Murphy, they're saying, I'd like to become a stockist. My first question for them is, what interests you about the brand? Like, why Kevin Murphy? And I love to hear their answer. Like, why are they interested in this brand? What resonates with them? And why are they wanting to change? And hearing whatever their reason is for wanting to change enables me to, again, understand the direction that they're going in to then help make this an easy transition for them because they want to. They want to do it.
Because it's also important. Like Tanya is the biggest hype girl for her company. You know, like just before this podcast, she was showing us people on their Instagram page of what they look like. She's done that to me twice so far. And
I love it.
Look at her. She's like, I'm so passionate.
Yeah. And it's, and that's the cool part. And even with Ozdare, I love that we are a family-run business. We are a big company in a thriving industry. We are we probably still see ourselves as a smaller business, and it's really great that Carlo, the owner, is accessible. I can text him and he will text back, and when you go down our ranks of management, it's a small intimate group, and even though like yourself, you like to know who the head of have a relationship with head of sales and have a relationship with Carlo. Not everyone does, but please know, they know who you are, whether you want to know or not. And we talk about our salons all the time. And for me, even with delegating, where we encourage salon owners to delegate to your rep, I also delegate to Ozdare because I need them to know you. I need them to have that relationship because I am only one person and I can't do it all. And they, I do usually do that introduction, but then there's also a follow through of I need you to be involved, and the relationship isn't just a start-stop thing. You've got to create your own relationship, and that's where the magic happens as well. That I feel safe within the company that someone else has got you. So if I, fell off a cliff, not that it will happen, but if that happened, your business doesn't stop. And I love that security or that insurance policy within our company that they know they can pick up the pieces and continue on.
But I think that also comes down to the boundaries you said as well, because I think you establish these safe boundaries which aren't ridiculous, which mean that in a time when perhaps you can't meet that need, it's not like the whole world's going to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
Because if you are enabling and carrying someone rather than supporting and guiding them, then that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
And that's, and I love with Ozdare as well, like they're really progressive, and we're in
so progressive. The conversations, even for us, of where they want to move with us in Salon Rising in order to just love and support their people. More, their reps, but their clients is like, we all sit back and froth over it all the time.
Which is so exciting. And for us still seeing ourselves as a smaller business, and the visions that Carlo has and he's creating at the moment, there's a lot of things that are under construction at the moment behind the scenes within our company that, at times are frustrating in our day-to-day as reps, and sometimes it means there's delays for things from a salon level or out of stocks for things at a salon level that are frustrating. But the big picture and the big picture planning is really, really exciting.
Yeah, agreed.
And, and I think anyone who's on board with us already, they would have noticed change in the last 2 years, and they'll notice change in the next 2 years and beyond that. And those who are new to it, Ozdare really do have the industry's best intentions at heart. And that's really cool.
And I think too, as any other business, take care of your people will take care of their people. And that's true. And also just, I think I love that they listen. Like I love that, the first night I met Carlo, we all went out for dinner and no one else talked except Carlo and I, and we were just like, go, go, go. Like we were just so passionate. He's like, yeah, why? So even, having dinner with Carlo and just going but he's super interested to go, as a salon owner, what is moving at the moment? And for me, I was like, let me share with you what I know so we can make change for the better. I can tell you what people want because I am a salon owner and I can tell you what I want. I can tell you what others want. I see it all day, every day. I work with salons that are literally all day, every day. They're telling me what they want. Let me work with you in order for us to give people what they want.
And what they need.
Because happy clients don't go anywhere.
And then that's the other responsibility I take on board as a representative is humanising the dysfunction in business and allowing people to feel seen and validated.
Yes,
so many business owners out there are second guessing themselves and feeling like life's hard and
feeling like they're the only ones who are feeling that way.
Why am I struggling when someone else on their glamorous Instagram is thriving? It's really nice just to validate them, to say you're not alone here. Like this is hard, and your hard is no different to their hard. And letting people feel, I guess come to terms with that feeling in business. And even probably businesses in that first 12 months, they can be looking at, say, La Sorella's Instagram and being like, oh, it all just seems so easy. Yet I know the little bit of insight behind the scenes is that there's a lot of moving parts to that ship, and and let them know that takes time to build that. It doesn't happen overnight. Like Samara
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Which comes into our why, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Our why is other people feeling that it's so interesting as we run the programs, and the programs are so important to have other people in it. They're just like, everyone's feeling this way, thank God. We had the most incredible mastermind call with my salons last week before, and one of my clients almost didn't get on because she's just like, I'm feeling so low, and she got on, and I was like, hands up, every single person that's feeling everything she's feeling right now, and every owner was like, And she's just like, I needed that so bad to start myself back into, it's okay, everybody's feeling this way and it feels it in some days. And it's a ride. It's fucking like motherhood. Some days you're just like, I am killing this. I got everyone out the door. I made some bread. Everyone's eating it. And then other days you're just like,
I'm going to kill them.
everybody is about to go into an asylum. Like me, I can't wait to get that straitjacket on and just put me in there. Like, so it's business is exactly the same. And I think we think that we're going to get to a point where that stops.
No.
Yeah.
When I get here, that's how I feel. When I get here, that's how I feel. When I get to there, that's how I feel.
No.
It doesn't stop. Like it never stops.
You have to change how your relationship with that situation.
Yeah.
That is what has to change.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And also, again, lean on the people around you to delegate, to help you, have the village, lean into your village and allow them to, share feedback, share
And if you don't
insight.
have a village within your business,
I can help you.
Tanya can help you. Tanya loves being everyone's village.
I love referring people, and I just, I love education, and I love, just watching people meet each other for the first time, and then them realizing they've got common ground, and then they follow each other on Instagram, and they're messaging, and then these friendships, internal friendships within the industry are blossomed, and they become hair besties. And even me,
You've done that for our hair besties. I'm pretty sure you introduced us all. We all became obsessed.
And then
besties.
Then when I left, I had to sort of step away from that friendship. But it's and I still have friendships with those people separately. But there's so many like-minded people in our industry that are, salons down the road that, again, if you can take away the competition and just realise they're doing exactly what you're doing. Yeah. Like one of my closest friends is a rep for another company, and we speak probably once a week or once every 2 weeks, and we just, talk shop. And it's something that it's nice because then when we get to go home to our families,
Then
we
you're
don't,
not
we
talking
don't bore
shop
them
with
with
your
about
family.
it. Yeah, I don't talk to my husband about work. I don't tell him anything. Like I'll tell him things if it's necessary, but I like to have that sounding board with someone who gets my world.
The other thing too is, and I can relate to this, is, when you have them, and I know this within my crew at the moment, and they've had stuff happen, when you go through that stuff, you're like, I can get through it because they did.
Yeah.
And I know my people had this, so I can have this. And I've had a little bit of that lately go on. And I'm like, it gives me that sense of hope. They went through this. I got this. I can get through this as well, and my business won't tumble and fail. And something I'm like, it's going to crash down around me. And Jen's like, shut up. It is not.
Yeah.
But, it's
Voice of reason.
Always. But when you get in that headspace of the anxiety find me a salon owner that doesn't get anxious. Like, I dare you, because it's just not possible, and isn't worried about what's going to happen, and I still get worried about every single week. Like, I still look at the appointment. And I've been in business for 15 years. Like, so, this is, I guess, our why. Our why is letting everyone understand that it's fucking real, and everyone's feeling like this at all times. And
you are never not going to feel like this. But it's like we spoke on our last pod about joy and being able to bring yourself back to joy. You're always going to have those moments. You're going to have those moments when you're like, oh my gosh, and you're freaking out. But
I had that moment on Saturday.
Can you come back
Yeah.
and go, okay,
I used to
what can I
spiral.
learn?
If I would spiral about work, I'd spiral for weeks.
Yeah.
yes, I know. I know.
Jen's like, I've aged because of you.
All this grey hair.
And I think that's something you've really worked on as well, that when things are going, you've taken hardships in your stride, and that's the thing that I've noticed over the years of seeing you mature into your business, is that things don't rattle you as much, and occasionally it still does, but then you'll regulate pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's it. It's that regulation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That shook me.
Yep.
Now how can I come back?
Yep.
That's what it's about. It's not about trying to avoid feeling that way.
No.
Because then you do need to sell your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will just find you in other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Because you can't get away from it, because that's living.
Yeah.
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 But I think it is definitely that. And I think just like in all other areas in your life, you have to put the work into the relationships in your business as well. And people like your reps, they need the work. And it is too noisy for me to have too many reps.
Yeah.
And I know that. For me, it's too noisy to have multiple companies and multiple reps. it's too much noise.
No.
For me, coming home to one person and having, you know, I'm not a swinger. I can't have all the people. Coming home to my one person
No keys in the
that I
vault
feel
for
no
Samara.
keys in the vault for me, that I feel safe with, was, you know, again, why I made the decision to, you know, come home to my person.
Yeah.
Because I then knew that everything was wrapped up. She had it. I could, you know, because that is ultimate safety. It means I can put hands off a business. So anybody that's in their business that thinks I want to be more hands off,
Yep.
they need to have a rep that can be more hands on with them.
And I think we've definitely found in Salon Rising, people didn't realize that if they went like with all in that one
Yeah.
bucket, that there was so much more that the
Yeah.
company was able then to offer them.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's again with values. Like that's one for me as a you know, business development person, is that I need the security of knowing that Ozdare can provide a total salon offering, total salon service in all aspects of what you need. Of if there's a secondary price point retail range that you need, we can offer that. And we can look after you from front of house to back of house, and it's all through me, because that means that I get to own take complete ownership of your business, and that's where I thrive. Like,
Because it's funny, because even with Tan, so Tan works specifically for Kevin Murphy, and now I also have 11, and they're meant to be separate because that's how the business. And I was like, no. I was like, oh, you know, I'm not doing that. And she was like, yeah, I already know that. And I was like, I'm not having to, I'm having you. And she was like, I know. And it's like, I love them.
Yeah.
I love everyone that's included in 11.
Yeah.
Like, but for me, I'm like, no,
That's
no.
too much noise.
You're just Ozdare. So
Yeah.
you're just going to hit. And she was like, yeah, I already told them that. Like, but she knows me to know enough.
Yeah.
Do not introduce anyone else into her head because she's busy.
Yeah.
Like, I will just handle it for her. That makes more sense to her. Whereas other people would love the flow of having other people within the business.
Yeah.
I like that when we're having margaritas and talking about inappropriate things. I do not like that on the everyday because it's too much noise.
No, and that's again, you know, figuring out what's important to you, and for me, like, it's such a privilege to be your representative of the brand that you choose to have on display in your business. And, you know, for us to have Kevin Murphy, you know, displayed in your business is just a huge investment for you and a huge opportunity for us, and plus, you know, the rest of the Ozdare brands now as well. But that comes responsibility, which again, I thrive on having that responsibility and making it my own. Even though it's your business, I like my mind in your business is as if it's my own, and that
My success has been yours.
and it's something that again, it comes with trust. But for me, I don't like doing half-assed, and that's something a downfall of me, because when I'm in, and you know, things
That's
are wishy.
a
I don't do
downfall to
wishy.
have, mate.
Yeah, I don't do wishy-washy. I don't do half-assed. And yet, if I can have that opportunity to look after you completely, that's where, for me, I really get to sink my teeth into helping elevate you and your business and your team, and really get to know everyone more deeply. And that's the most exciting part of my career. And still, I get excited when those
I mean,
opportunities
she
come
brought
up.
cake in for my staff. There's 2 birthdays, and I was like, how do you remember this? Like, you were amazing.
It was James's birthday too, and he was here. But yeah, it was, you know, and all those things. Like, it doesn't always happen, but you know, for when you understand how people operate and what is exciting for them, and helping, you know, it's just nice to do.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samara, for, you know, trusting in me, and also in our early days, you know, coming to me and sharing your visions, and you know, being vulnerable to actually say. I remember the conversation we were saying before even blonde specialists existed. You're like, I want to own the blonde space. I want to be a blonde specialist. I'm changing my whole visionary. I'm doing this, and I'm advertising to that. And hearing you say that before it was even something that was done, it's always inspired me to remain agile and to be open-minded to, you know, anything and everything. And I think, you know, at 39, it keeps me youthful. It makes me feel young and alive.
Yeah.
And I love being around salon owners like yourself, and teams like you have here at La Sorella, because the team inspire me, and they, again, keep me youthful. They keep me on my toes. They challenge me, and all the salons that I get to work with do that, and it's a really fulfilling role. So I hope people can realise that sales reps do have, or say, hopefully, I hope majority do, and I know I certainly do, have the best intentions at heart. And we do, when we are let in, there's some real wonderful friendships that can be created. There's going to be real aha moments in business.
And your business just, that's what I was thinking I wanted to say before. Like, one of my staff members is moving down south, and Tan's like, okay, I've got you sorted. This is the salon that you should go to. And so in her head, my staff member already gets to feel safe. We already know she could go to an amazing family. You know they're amazing, right? So it feels like this like beautiful movement. But same thing, Tanya walked in this morning, she was like, do you need a new senior? I got you one. And I was like, yes, that sounds great. Like, and so often that can happen. Tanya will be like, hey,
because she's out
because she's in it.
Hearing,
I'll say, hey, I think I need this, and Tanya will be like, I'll keep my head to the ground because she's out in it. So, again, she can see people that are moving that she can like move things to, or same thing, she can see other salons that are down south or wherever that is, and be able to kind of support and nurture relationships between that too. Because when I went to we went to Barcelona 5 years ago and 5 years ago, Samara was definitely different to the person I am now. And it's similar in different ways. Like, we go to Budapest, but I'm going to Budapest with my best friend and my brother. So I will be personal and out there because I'd have my safety nets.
Yeah, but you were on your own.
Barcelona was on my own. Like, I was freaking the fuck out. But I remember even at dinner the first night saying to Tan, I'm out of my depth. Like, I was like shaky. I didn't know anyone, and I was like, I am out of my depth. There was a client that had left La Sorella, and I'd found out about that, and then I was like, I feel like I'm and she was just able to kind of soothe me, pull me back in, and then I could start again the next day. And then by the end of that trip, obviously loved everybody, and I was best friends and lying across everyone.
You made some amazing friendships, but it was also you allowed them to happen, and you could have stayed in that state of
and
wall up, restricted. I'm not good enough. I'm out of my depth. What am I doing here? And you would have had a completely different experience. And same thing with, our relationship. The fact that you let me know movement in your business, staff might be leaving. It's, the fact that I know that allows me that when I'm on my bike ride yesterday and I run into someone their wife is looking for work, I can go, I know the place for you to go.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how these, moments happen.
Yeah.
And that's where this organic referring is, word of mouth is always the best.
Yeah.
And even I find with the podcast, I love the content that you create on the podcast. And it's not me telling you that because you're here. I just genuinely do. And I feel like the industry need to hear this. So when I'm in business, in salons that they're having a struggle or there's something that they, have a problem with, I can say to them, look, this is a commitment-free thing. Just listen to this one episode. Done. And it's like literally, and they may not. They might, and I'll come back and see them the next month, and I'm like, did you listen to the podcast? They're like, no. I'm like, and that's when I'll get firm. I'm like, please just listen to the podcast. It will change. It'll just lift that weight off your shoulders. Then they do. Then they message me and go, you were fucking right. And I'm like,
I should have done that a month ago.
I should have done that a month ago. And then they start onboarding, and it's something that, I love that. And, trusting in others, and which isn't something humans naturally do, but when you can trust in others and they cannot let you down, that is where real growth happens. And for me, I love that I am involved in all areas. My career, I'm involved in so many different fingers in so many different pies that it's so easy to refer because I'm seeing it, I'm exposed to it, and I hope that sometimes I have staff members who I never like poach or interfere, but if someone's not happy and they want to move somewhere else or they're moving cities, helping them find their forever home is something that's so powerful. And when you do and you're involved in that, seeing their happiness and seeing their true self shine and see their full potential come to light, it's just so beautiful for the business owner, then also for that staff member, that why not keep doing it? Like, do more of that stuff.
Friends, is why you're so good at what you do, and why we've said before on this podcast that you are the benchmark that people should strive to.
Benchmark.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Ozdare, give her a raise.
No.
Pay her all the money.
But we do need to wrap up
yeah,
now.
we do.
What? I could just talk to
Thank
Tanya
you.
for hours.
Yeah.
I know. We can continue to talk afterwards. But thank you so much.
No, thank
for
you,
joining
ladies.
us today, Tan.
What's your Instagram handle?
Oh,
Tanya?
Tanya_Ozdare.
Yeah,
Maybe-
Tanya.
I don't know. I don't
I
even know. Tanya Love at Ozdare.
No, it's
No,
not
it's
Tanya
not.
Love. It's
Just
Tanya,
Tanya
Ozdare.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tanya_Ozdare.
Yeah,
James
okay.
_Ozdare.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Jen knows.
Yeah, but yeah, and again, people, I find myself, I want to be helpful, and even if you're not interested in, in changing to our brands, but you just have an industry question, like ask me.
Yeah.
My nature is to be helpful, and if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. But if I do know, it'll just, there's an answer. So again, anyone who does choose to DM me or contact you for my mobile number, they can. And again, it's just thought-provoking conversation that, connecting our industry and elevating it. That's what that's what motivates us and inspires us.
That's a great closing.
Great closing. All right, guys. Thank you for
Thank
listening.
you so much for listening.
Ozdare is showing the love to Salon Rising listeners with some incredible offers. Head to ozdare.com/salonrising and find out how Kevin Murphy and Ozdare can help your business rise.